in Australia at the end of next month for a quick run of shows. This is the first time in Australia for a couple of years. Are you looking forward to it?
Absolutely. It's always great to go to Australia. We've been there a few times before, and it's like a nice country, nice people, and we usually have good shows. The crowds seem to be usually quite enthusiastic. And I mean, for Sweden, it's always quite special to go to the other side of the world and having people paying to come and watch you play live. That's still quite exciting. Even if you've done it a couple of times, it never gets old.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good. I mean, with the, obviously you're touring a new album when you get here. Is the set list going to be like a 50-50 between the new and the old, or is it going to be more weighted towards the new?
We haven't, we don't have decided on the exact set list yet, but we're going to focus on the, of course, we're going to focus quite a bit on the new album and the previous two ones, but we're going to play some classics as well from the old days. So it's, probably 50-50.
Okay, that's cool. How have you found the new songs have translated on the live on the shows that you've been doing?
Yeah, they've gone down really well. Especially like Soilwork, which is one of the singles from the album. It's become quite a live anthem, which is fun.
Yeah, that's good. Because there is a more... Would it be fair to say there's more of a traditional metal sound on this album?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're both like more traditional metal sounds, but there's also more like extreme drumming, like more blast beats and stuff like that. And I think we like to combine the traditional metal thing with the extreme elements and then new and hopefully interesting ways, like having a old school metal riff and sometimes even clean singing over a blast beat.
Yeah.
I think it creates a nice tension, and I don't hear many bands trying to, because we're always like trying to evolve and take our music further, or sometimes sideways, but it's like a very important thing for us to always feel that we evolve as a band with every new album, and we want to try something new and different and not just stick to the formula. So far,
sorry, you go, David. Sorry.
So far, people seem to like it, and I think since I joined the band in 2012 before the Living Infinite, I guess I've had quite a lot of impact on the songwriting and the direction of the musical direction of the band, and it feels like we have managed to attract quite a few new fans who aren't really familiar with the old stuff, but really appreciate the new things we're doing. That's like a real nice sort of like confirms that we're doing something right, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, because on this album, you just touched on there, on this album, you've become quite prominent in the songwriting of the musical part and having that influence. I mean, how does... What challenges come with that from being in a band that, as you mentioned, already had 5 or 6 albums before you turned up?
Well, I mean, I've always been like the main songwriter in every band I've been in. A lot of the bands I've been in haven't been very successful, but it was quite natural for me to start writing music for Soilwork, because I've been touring with them on and off as a live session guitarist for that right back in like 2006. I did my first US tour with them.
Oh, yeah.
So I was very like familiar with the old material, and then had like the building blocks Peter Witchers was in the band. I guess he was writing most of the material, but since he left, Björn has started to write some music as well. So these days, it's for the last album, it was me and Björn wrote all the songs, and I think we share we have a common vision of where we want to take the band and music, so for me it was, I mean, it felt natural, and I didn't feel much pressure, because I mean, I was quite confident that I could bring something new and different and interesting to the band, and also not just copy what they had done in the past. And I think it's worked well for us. And it's fun because, I mean, me and Björn, I mean, I write a lot of lyrics too, so we probably do. So we collaborate a lot and discuss where we're heading with our music all the time. So it's a great, we have great like collaboration going on.
Yeah, good. And the new album's great. I think you already know that. I don't need to tell you that. So, I mean, you were mentioning.
Well, thank you.
Well, pleasure. You were mentioning about having the blast beats in there as well. I mean, you've got the new drummer Bastian in. What is that the sort of influence that he's brought to the team as well?
Well, I think he's obviously had quite big shoes to fill after Dirk left, but I think what he's brought is that Dirk is probably one of the best drummers in the world at what he does, like when it comes to extreme drumming and stuff like that, whereas Bastian is more of an all-around drummer. So I think we've even if Dirk is like super technical drummer, he's not a big fan of like more classic rock or stuff like that. And I think with Bastian we've been able to broaden our musical scope and to do various things more convincingly. I mean, he's great at all the extreme metal stuff, but he's also a great like rock/metal drummer, and I think those elements sound more convincing and more like natural now. So I think it's brought. We've been able to be more diverse since he entered the band, and it's also very involved in the studio. Before we usually like track drums first, and then the drummer left, and then we start stacking guitars. Whereas now Bastian was with us in the studio for the whole session, and we've added some like percussion and stuff that you usually don't hear on metal albums.
Yeah.
So it's more like a team effort, and we also like the whole recording. The method of recording is also different. I mean, usually when you record metal albums, you just find a good rhythm guitar sound, and then you just start stacking guitars with that sound. Whereas this time we had a new producer, Thomas Andersson, who's a really good old friend of mine, and then we really experimented with sounds, and we changed the guitar sounds for every song, and I think the whole listening experience is a bit more interesting. It's not just like the same sound and production of every song, which you usually get on metal albums these days, but this is more like we want to give every song its own like sonic identity. That might sound a bit pretentious, but
Yeah.
but it was fun and liberating. I think it comes through when you listen to the record that we want to create something unique with each song.
Yeah, I think that it's the good thing with the album as well is that it can, even though you've gone and created these unique sounds and styles, you can play it from track one through to the end, and it flows really well as well. That there's no disjointedness with that either, which I mean, is that part of being, because you're recording it this way with a drummer who can do different things, help as well?
Yeah, Okay, can you repeat the question?
Oh, it was really just a statement, really. Just that, having that drummer there, I mean, it helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I mean, when it comes to show time though, because you've also got you got a bassist, new bassist Taylor on this tour as well.
No, right. I mean, right now we don't have any full-time bassist. We will use. We're having a guy called Rasmus Ianborn, who's a good friend of ours. He's also doing some fill-in for the Night Flight Orchestra. He's like a super all-round musician, and so he's going to do he's done all the tours so far for the album, and he's going to continue doing those ones. Because I mean, basically, I played all the bass on the album, and I played all the bass on the previous album as well. So in the studio, it's fine. But we'll see. If we're going to add a permanent bass player in the future, we still haven't decided. But Rasmus, who's with us now, is a great friend of ours, and a super talented guy. Really nice to be around with. So.
You just mentioned in there about Rasmus as well from Night Flight Orchestra, and you've been mentioning about Bastian as a drummer. I mean, Sweden itself. I mean, it's not a hugely populated country compared to, say, America or something like that. So, what do you think the reason is that it's because it's such a fertile breeding ground of metal music and fantastic musicians? Why do you think that is, that you kind of lead the way in metal music?
Well, when we grew up, like in those of us who were born in the 70s and 80s, at least we grew up and we had like free musical education. So you could get like free musical lessons for everyone. Whereas in a lot of countries, it's a question of money. You need to pay for music lessons, and then whereas in Sweden, back in those days at least, the government paid for music lessons. So I think that's part of it. And it's also I think we Swedes are not a very patriotic people. I mean, we've always been quite open to outside influences. We get to if you look at other European countries, they usually stick to themselves, like France, and I mean, you have they usually listen to their own music. But Swedes, when you grow up and if you're interested in music, you listen to everything from the US and England and wherever, and I think we have this kind of openness that has enabled us to make maybe to be able to have influences from all over the place, and then add our Swedishness to it, and probably also, I mean, we have this something about the Swedish folk music that is quite the tone language. It's quite universal in a way. Just look at ABBA or any Swedish pop band. They have this melody language that people seem to be able to enjoy all over the world. And I think the same with metal. A lot of Swedish metal is also based on that same melodic language, even if it's buried in screaming and distorted guitars. But I think there's still this underlying melancholic thing and those melody lines that are quite unique for Sweden, I think. Just my theory, but
there's just so many of you, and I'm like, it's just amazing. It's almost like every 7th or 8th band that is just tearing something up. It's Swedish, and you think, how? Like how? So it's great though. It's good to have. Is it? Was I reading correctly yesterday or the day before on Facebook that you guys are back in the studio? Yeah.
Yeah. We've done a new song that we hope to be able to release as a single, hopefully before the tour starts. Because we missed the studio, and it was great to get back together and do something. We don't have any plans for an album yet, but we're hoping to release at least one, hopefully a couple of more songs like spread out over coming months. I'm really pleased with it, and it was fun to get together again. These days, it's I think the whole music industry is like moving away from the traditional tour album cycle. I think it's more about keeping up your presence and releasing stuff, like both for our own sake, because it's fun to be creative and do things, and I think people appreciate it, that you get to get a new song every now and then, because I guess most people don't listen to albums anymore. A lot of people just listen to playlists or like stream stuff, and I think we're heading more towards that direction of releasing stuff every now and then, perhaps do an album, but the important thing is just going on, continuing to be creative and create stuff and release it, and it's quite liberating in a way.
Yeah. Will we? Is there a potential we may hear the song on the tour?
Yeah, we hope so. If we manage to release it before the tour, we'll definitely play it.
Cool. It's a good point there you're making about the albums. I know certainly here in Australia, with the people that I speak to, there is a concept of there's two concepts they've got, that instead of doing albums every couple of years, it's doing EP every year, or is exactly what you say, just every couple of months, just drop a single in a digital format, and it just keeps that presence up. A band's still doing something, and you guys still stay creative, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's an inevitable fact that the music industry is changing, and even if it means that we make less money from selling physical products, it's been it also gives us a chance of being more creative. Because writing and recording an album is quite a big undertaking, and but doing a few songs here and there it's a bit more. You can just do more what you feel like, and I think it's the future will be more or less album oriented. Even if it's great doing albums, it's also more about showing people that you still exist as a band. Because otherwise, these days it feels like if you just do an album and then go on tour for 2 years, you sort of disappear. And it's nice to show people that we're still active and that we're still like into creating stuff.